guitar is a little flat. The thumbnail photo for this episode is a painting that I just finished, and I'm going to use several shots of the painting as a work in progress as illustration in this episode, which is not about painting. It's about UFOs this time. And the point is that there's more going on here than what we understand. The painting, which I'm calling it When It Pours, because it's a painting of water pouring down a human face, which I've always thought was very difficult to do. And it could be difficult to do. I've been trying to figure out how to do it for years, until the day before yesterday when I just did it. And from a photo, of course, and the water was still. And so what I realized is it just took the discipline to stick to what you see. And that's easier said than done a lot. Synchronistically, as I just mentioned when we started, all of MADAR got an update from Fran Ridge, whose baby MADAR is, about the August 29th, 2020 sighting of orbs in the sky from this farm, which I made a report to NICAP. My dog's going to bark at UPS or whoever that is. And we'll start this over. Okay, so going on. What I've learned about animals is that, especially dogs, is that when United Postal Service or UPS get too close, it affects their base magnetism, and they forget. It affects their memory, and they forget what quiet on set means. So we'll see if that happens again. So anyway, we were talking about Fran Ridge emailing everybody about the UFO sighting that was going to come up in this particular episode anyway, and so he just happened to mail everyone yesterday, and I'll get to that. It comes up pretty quickly. All right, so let's go forward with the Fall Creek Township UFO flap of 2020, chapter 16. On August 15th, 2020, about 15:45 Greenwich Mean Time, Barbara and I heard what sounded like a sonic boom. The television show Unidentified had mentioned in episode 6 of that show that a sailor heard a sonic boom when a UAP instantly accelerated. The next day, on August 16th, by email, Fran Ridge, MADAR director, recommended all MADAR operators start a logbook of sightings. So I did. In that log, my first notation concerns August 15th, 2020, the sound we heard, and it mentions a MADAR hit, namely an alert that occurred at 18:20 Greenwich Mean Time. The next page has a notation I had forgotten about from that journal. It says, I have seen aliens in a dream about a month ago for a moment. Intriguing. We did an episode, if you look through the episodes on this chapter, I've got my screen up here on the other one, and about 3 episodes ago was Sasquatch Dreams, and I think in that I forgot to mention this thing about having had a dream about aliens. So it's slippery to remember that. Journals are good. Thanks to Fran Ridge, who suggested keeping a journal, I began keeping a journal of all the strange events around the farm and taking photos if there was anything to see. I'm using that journal now to help maintain a general chronological order of things for this story, this manuscript. Those photos I took along the way are some of the illustrations for this book. Dates of the more recent events since 2020 are therefore pretty accurate, because the photos all come with a date stamp. A good thing I started writing stuff down because things were just warming up. The next batch of activity followed hot on the heels of this and is better documented. On August 29th, 2020, Barbara and I were sitting in the south yard of the middle house watching the sunset. The yard has an unobstructed view to the west. The sun was on the horizon. Then just to the left of the sun and about 30 degrees above the horizon, a star came out. This was about the location where the star diadem should be per the star chart app on my phone. But the sun was in the sky, and this star gleamed out metallic and bright. Then it dimmed away to very faint. Then it became a brilliant, shining metallic silver. Then it dimmed to nothing at all and did not reappear. This sighting lasted about 5 minutes. The sky was clear, no haze, and the temperature was 70 degrees with a light breeze from the west. The interesting part of this sighting is that the MADAR unit at the middle house went on alert during the sighting. And there's a NICAP report that I sent in. You go to nicap.org, and it's number 202000830 Payson. And you might find it there to check it out online. And then here's where we get to the synchronistic part with MADAR. Note, this chapter was the next one up for the Grant House, but another synchronistic event yesterday on June 5, 2024, under the heading MADAR Network, Payson, Illinois sighting and MADAR on August 29, 2020, Fran Ridge emailed the MADAR group that he had upgraded this particular sighting. What he found interesting is this. This is a quote from his email now. So now the device, my MADAR unit number 97, was in alert mode and logging data at a faster rate, or 1 line per second instead of 1 line per minute. Originally, our analysis showed a 7-second duration for this alert, but the spreadsheet has a timing discrepancy, and right before the code blue alert start, as they now call them, at 1.12 milligauss reading, which was at 23:29:19 Greenwich Mean Time. Then on the next line, it jumped to 186, from 1.12 to 186.00 at 23:29:33, a 14-second period. 13 seconds are missing from the data. Fran found that very interesting. We don't know why that happened. Okay, so going on. Barbara and I would continue watching sunsets from a couple Adirondack-style chairs that late summer, and a couple days later on August 31st, 2020, at 7:50 p.m. Central Time, a star appeared approximately where the star chart app indicated Sherfon would be at that time on that date, namely almost due west and very low in the sky. Then a second star appeared slightly higher in the sky than the first and to the left. The sky was clear except for a low cloud bank just above the horizon. The horizon was also clear beyond the clouds. As the cloud bank moved slowly east towards us, both lights rose higher in the sky so that the one to the left moved into or behind the cloud bank. The one to the right moved north as it ascended. It also became elongated for a short while, became round again, and then it became obscured by the clouds as well. The MADAR unit at the middle house gave alerts earlier in the day on August 31st, 2020, at 1836 and 1838 UTC. Then, on September 1, 2020, from the same location at 7:15 p.m., while watching the sunset with added interest by this time, due west and low on the horizon, a bright star suddenly appeared at the location where the star chart app showed Denebola should be. It then faded away to nothing, only to reappear in the same location. I grabbed my phone and was filming the area when it reappeared, but the video, though it shows a light appear, is simply nothing to write home about. The clouds obscured the view for a little while, but the light reappeared as brilliant silver at 7:38 p.m. at about the location of the star Heze. I'm going to call it Heze, Heze, which my notes indicate is a little higher in the sky than where the light started out, where it flashed and shone brilliant for a few seconds at 7:40 p.m. There was no MADAR alert with this sighting. On September 4th, 2020, I noted in the journal that we had watched the sunset the night before and nothing unusual was seen, but no stars appeared in the sky at all from sunset until Saturn appeared in the southeastern sky. So, whatever we had been watching, they were not stars. I submitted a sighting report to MUFON on September 6, 2020, which is report 111301, with a date and time of August 29, 2020 at 7:20 p.m. And a short description is sighting with MADAR alert at same location, Unit 97. So if you go to MUFON, that's the report, 111,301. Then on September 12th, 2020, at 7:25 p.m., from the deck on the lodge, that's the building I'm in, and it's in the same yard as all the rest of this stuff was going on, as we call the building that serves as my office and art studio, at 15 degrees above the horizon, roughly where the sun had just set, and at the level of the star Denebola, which was not visible at the time, a faint star appeared above a cloud bank. I got my binoculars, which hang just inside the door to the deck. As I watched, a second brighter star appeared above and to the north of the first star. This one gleamed like it was catching rays of sunlight. Still watching through binoculars, I saw a third faint star appear below the bright star to the north and quickly move south towards the faint star. It disappeared before it got there. So to say it another way, I'm looking at two stars and a third one appears above the one to the north and traveled straight south in a straight line, headed for the other one, and disappeared before it arrived. Then the first two also faded from view. I drew a diagram of this event in my notebook. I recorded in my journal that no airplanes were visible, no jet trails appeared before or after. We watched until 7:40 p.m. We did see jets going west overhead, but otherwise the sky was empty. I made the journal entry of this sighting at 8 p.m. that evening. Then, the next night, on September 13th, 2020, at 7:18 p.m., I saw an object, not a light, sitting stationary in the northwest sky at 20 degrees above the horizon. I put binoculars on it. It was not moving. It appeared rectangular. In my journal, I drew two lines of an equal sign, with a third, slightly longer, running in between and parallel to the two lines, like the equal sign, with another longer line in between them. The longer line extended equally on both sides. I took a moment to take a seat to better hold the binoculars still, and when I looked again, it was gone and the sky was empty. Note to self and you, when you see something cool, try not to look away. I made the journal entry at 7:47 p.m. that night. And then 2 nights later, on September 15, 2020, at 7:05 p.m., we had another sighting with a MADAR alert. My journal entry says this: was at the exact location as the previous sightings. The word exact is underlined in my journal, so it was pretty close to the same spot. The sky was hazy from wildfires in California. There were high, thin clouds overhead and clouds low on the western horizon. There were 3 commercial jets in the sky, 1 eastbound and 2 westbound. As the 3rd jet dropped below 20 degrees above the horizon, a stationary star, the magnitude of Saturn, suddenly blazed out slightly higher in the sky than the westbound jet. I checked my MADAR phone app and discovered we had had an alert at 5:30 p.m. Central Time. I drew a sketch of the sighting. There was a MUFON report at Kokomo, Indiana on 9/16 at 8:37 p.m. which reads, "While waiting to see if I could see ISIS, I saw what I thought was a very bright white star. After observing the star for a minute or so, the bright light disappeared. At 8:37 p.m. on September 16, the light was directly overhead. After the light disappeared, I never saw it again, but I will look for it every night." That is MUFON case 111458. Well, as do we all, buddy. But at Payson, Illinois, on that date, I didn't see anything until 10:15 p.m. So we're talking about September 16th. On that date, I didn't see anything until 10:15 p.m. when I was on the deck of the lodge stargazing by myself. Overhead, 5 degrees south of vertical, a strobe light went off. So that's west here. 5 degrees south of vertical is pretty much straight up overhead. A strobe light went off. Then another strobe went off at 5 degrees northwest of vertical and started moving from east to west to a spot 5 degrees northeast of vertical where it disappeared, only to repeat the same general track almost immediately. Then a yellow light created a low arc like a bouncing ball, movement just south of the line of the strobe lights. A second bouncing light moved just north of the line of the strobing lights had made. Finally, a light appeared for a moment in between the arcs of the two bouncing lights had described. And by bouncing, I mean they were a wavy motion. Finally, a light appeared for a moment in between the arcs the two bouncing lights had described, and then it faded out of sight. This would not be the last time I noticed strobe lights overhead. I don't even journal them anymore unless they do something really unusual. Also, as I am proofreading this manuscript for publication, last evening on January 29th, 2024, just after sunset, very low in the western sky, where all the foregoing occurred, a bright star appeared, and then a second star appeared just below it and moved to the south for a short distance, like 2 or 3 degrees, and disappeared. Then the one higher in the sky also disappeared. I did not enter this in the journal. They could have been small planes going in and out of low clouds and fog that have been plaguing the Midwest this past January, or not. But because of their location, I would suggest that if you live near Palmyra, Missouri, you should probably look up just after sunset once in a while. The final journal entry for 2020 is from September 24th. I was at the Middle House watching a Captain Favor interview regarding the Nimitz Tic Tac encounter at 3:15 p.m. in the afternoon. At 3:30 p.m., I noticed the MADAR Unit 97 at the Middle House had an alert at 3:15 p.m. That would be 2024-30 Greenwich Mean Time on 2020 9/24. Now that's just a coincidence, right? And that's the end of chapter 16. And none of it would mean very much. I mean, I saw one object which was in the distance, but I saw it through binoculars. And the only thing that made it unusual was that it was still. It would look like you were looking at an airplane and just couldn't see the wings, but it was stationary. No smoke, no wobbling, just a stationary box-like thing in the sky. But it's the MADAR alerts that add, scientific data to what we were seeing. And then I just noticed, I'll look at YouTube reviews of Skinwalker Ranch, and the most recent one I saw yesterday or the day before was the laser beams they were shooting up from the triangle had breaks in the light beams. There were places where the light beams weren't recorded, but the light continued on through them. And so the MADAR hits are just like seeing breaks in the light beams. We saw this stuff, but without MADAR documenting that something was going on in the area, it would be, not that they're very useful anyway, but it would be hard to hang your hat on anything. But I think what's going on around this part of the country, it's the totality of everything taken together that makes it so interesting. So I hope wherever you are, you're looking at the sky, you're paying attention, and it doesn't hurt to write it down, because I wouldn't remember, from 2020, I wouldn't remember all of this stuff if I hadn't started keeping a journal. So thanks for being here. If you're new to the channel, and a few people are, none of this stuff is time sensitive. If you're interested in these things, just go to the channel and go back and browse around and see if you see anything that strikes your fancy. And I hope you do. Thanks for being here. I'll see you next time. Bye.
It is. Yay! Did it.